What's up, guys, and welcome back. The Nintendo Switch 2 has been officially revealed. That's right, it has been revealed and announced by Nintendo. No more mock-ups, no more guessing about what it looks like. Yes, indeed, the Nintendo Switch 2 is in fact what the leaks showed. All those mock-ups, all those designs, that is exactly actually what the console looks like. And it's not very surprising, because Nintendo themselves did say that this was going to be an iterative console over the Nintendo Switch 1, basically a better Nintendo Switch, but there are some key differences, of course, and that is a bigger console itself, bigger Joy-Cons, bigger screen, more connections, more USB ports, and more functionality with the Joy-Cons. They even showed a little bit of the mouse functionality of the Joy-Cons in the trailer. You can see them sliding flat upright. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see how that's used in some games. And they did show Mario Kart, which at first I thought, and many others thought, this was just Mario Kart 8 Deluxe being shown on Switch 2, since it didn't really look very graphically impressive. Granted, it looked good, but it didn't look much better than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, by the way, already looked great in the first place. There was nothing really wrong with how that game looked, so it just looked like more of the same. But some key differences is that the models, if you look closely, is that they look extremely detailed for a Mario Kart game, and some of the models are in fact brand new, like Donkey Kong, for example. He looks completely revamped, and he looks more like the movie, basically, the movie version of Donkey Kong from the Super Mario movie from a couple years back. And the very, very big key difference, though, is that this does look like it's going to be a 24-player, possibly online Mario Kart game. If you look at the starting lineup track, it shows 24 different slots of where the carts will line up. So with any Mario Kart game, it's likely going to be at least 4-player local multiplayer. Now, what will be really cool, if this is 4-player local and online, maybe you can do teams with your friends and then go online with the 4 players and play a total of 24 players online in teams, maybe team versus team, whoever does the best race. That would be really cool for a Mario Kart game. So I am very excited to see more of Mario Kart 9. As for the Switch 2 console itself, it looks great. It's very sleek. It's black. I couldn't really ask for anything more. That's pretty much exactly what I wanted from a next-gen console from Nintendo. So I really got no complaints really about how the Switch 2 looks. It looks better in every way than the Switch 1, and it looks more like a modern premium device, which I also like as well. And Nintendo did announce officially that they will be having a Nintendo Switch 2 Direct on April 2nd, 2025. So that's over 2 months from now, so we have a bit of time to wait. But at least we can circle that date on our calendar. We will do a big live stream finally, and we will be able to react well in advance, know all the things planned, basically like that. So we don't have to be surprised like this, because Nintendo did drop this randomly on everybody. There was no announcement pre-hand. They basically just put the trailer out very early morning. I was actually still sleeping when this trailer posted. So thankfully we got past the reveal, and now we know when we can have the actual real true reveal of everything with the console and the games, April 2nd, 2025. And there was also a report by Bloomberg that Nintendo is planning on shipping 20 million Switch 2 consoles in this fiscal year to meet demand, or at least try to meet demand. I don't think personally that's enough. I think they're going to need like around 25 million at least, or more, because basically the Switch audience is gigantic. It's almost 150 million consoles sold. Everyone has a Switch, so everyone's going to want to Switch 2 pretty much in the first year. Not everyone, of course, but many people are going to want to Switch 2 in the first year, especially if they're selling Mario Kart as a launch game with this console. That's going to be insane, guys. Like seriously, that's going to be absolutely bonkers. I don't see how any Switch user right now is going to be able to resist buying the Switch 2 in the launch year. It's going to be totally crazy. So yeah, basically, like I've been saying before, I think Switch 2 has the potential to outsell Switch 1. I know that may sound crazy, but due to this head start that they're already going to have, the demand is through the roof. People are going to be buying this system left and right, hand over fist. It's going to be absolutely crazy for everyone trying to go out and buy this console day one at least. And then of course it's going to be selling out consistently after that until most of the current Switch audience is happy and they actually have their hands on the Switch 2. It's going to take a while, guys. It's going to take probably years for the actual demand to start dying down. I think this console is going to be absolutely on fire. So due to that, I'm actually really looking forward to seeing what the sales numbers are in comparison to Switch 1. I do think it's going to actually be better, which is crazy to think about. And also, I want to give a quick shout out and credit to Nintendo Switch 2 on January 9th, because they actually hinted that the Switch 2 would be revealed on January 16th before anyone else rumored it. Yes, I know people were giving Nate the Hate credit for this, but it was actually hinted at, even though not outright rumored by Nintendo on January 9th. They actually hinted that the Switch 2 would be revealed on January 16th due to this code pretty much that they listed here in their tweet, the BEE, which is a reference to the Switch 2 leaked BEE CPU on their motherboard that was leaked just recently. Many people didn't see that, but yeah, that was in reference to the Switch 2. It was not a typo. This is one of those accounts that can actually modify their tweets afterwards. So this was very interesting, and many people did actually catch on this and actually included this as a rumor before it happened. And then also Necrofelipe, I believe on January 11th or so, or January 12th, they actually also knew that Switch 2 was going to be revealed this week, the week of the 16th. They didn't give the exact date, but people did actually know the Switch 2 was in fact going to be revealed on January 16th before Nate the Hate actually said anything. He got the credit, but I just want to make sure I give shout outs to where the credit was actually really due, because it was more than just one person. It was many people that did actually know about this beforehand. Personally, I wasn't even looking for this information. I wasn't trying to find out when it was going to be revealed. I knew they were going to do it in January, basically. Most people did. For guys like Nate the Hate trying to hit that home run, trying to get that big, story out there or a big leak or whatever, it was really important for him, especially for him since his reputation is really bad in regards to revealing or knowing when Nintendo is going to reveal new hardware. He's gotten every single one of his rumors incorrect since the Switch Pro days, all the way back to 2021. He said Switch Pro was going to be revealed between the end of May, early June. That never happened. Then he said later on Switch 2 was going to be released into 2022 to early 2023. That never happened. Then last year in 2024, he said Switch 2 was going to be revealed in March 2024. That never happened. So this was basically his fourth attempt at doing this, and he got it right, but with a lot of help from his friends. It was quite a bit of people who knew about this. It was pretty much information that was being shared last week before he even said anything, and we already have the proof, which I showed you here, that other sites and other people did actually know about it. And either way though, I'm glad it's revealed. I'm glad we can move on. And next up, real briefly, we have some more information that leaked just a little bit ago that we actually covered in a December Switch 2 video about the expandable memory and storage for the Nintendo Switch 2 for its high-speed SD cards, the SD Express cards. We covered that back in December with real information showing that Nintendo was going to be actually working on that to be using with Switch 2. But Nintendo did have a job post talking about how they were looking for people with experience with SD Express and PCIe. So this looks to be confirmed. Wario64 posted this information about Switch 2 accessory SKUs starting to appear at GameStop systems with MicroSD Express support. And they have a 1TB version, a 512GB version, and a 256GB version all listed there. And then of course this was taken down later and renamed. But the big key that we talked about in that video about MicroSD Express cards is that they have read speeds of almost 900 megabytes per second, which should be nearly 9 times faster than what the SD cards are available to be used for speeds on Switch 1. Usually those regular microSD cards are about 150 megabytes per second. Sometimes they're a little bit faster or slower, but that's about the range for those cards. So this is a huge win for Switch 2, and I do think this is going to benefit it because it's a lot faster than standard microSD cards, which do work on Steam Deck, but they are a lot slower. And for Switch 1, games just load a lot slower anyway, and having microSD cards just be sticking with Switch 2 would be a bad move in my opinion. They needed an option that was going to be faster, and MicroSD Express was a perfect choice, and they're not very expensive either. Yes, you can buy the 1TB version that they had listed here, it looks like, for $150, but when you think about in comparison to M.2 drives, that's actually a really good price, and the speed is faster than a SATA SSD drive. So this is great news for Nintendo, and I would be very excited about this to get my hands on expandable storage for Switch 2, and this would negate any worry that I would have in regards to what kind of expandable storage it would have in the system, because the leaks indicate that the system only has 256 gigabytes of internal storage, which is definitely not enough. I'll probably be picking up the 1 terabyte version of the Express MicroSD card and pretty much call it a day at that point. That'd be good enough for me. And then lastly, we have the supposed Nintendo Switch 2 SDK information leak via Family boards. Now, of course, this is not confirmed info, but many people are talking about this, so I figure I'd give my 2 cents on this. And the clock speeds of Switch 2 from this SDK supposed leak, by the way, we don't have confirmation. We won't know still until it's broken down or torn apart and we can see exactly what the system is doing and people can test it in real world scenarios. But according to this information, in handheld mode, the CPU of the Switch 2, again, like the CPU, for example, is something we know very, very little about. We just know it's an ARM CPU and there's not much information about it, but it is used for mobile devices, you know, so it's one of those things that was going to be clocked pretty low either way. But the CPU in handheld mode is listed as 1.1 gigahertz, and the GPU is listed at 561 megahertz, and the EMC, the system memory, is listed at 2133 megahertz, and then in docked mode, the CPU is listed at just under 1 gigahertz, actually lower than handheld mode, which is very odd. Many people are confused about that, but the only thing I can think of, if this is true, is that they want to give more juice to the GPU, because the GPU is nearly double the clock speed at over 1 gigahertz at 1007 megahertz. And then they have the EMC, the memory, listed at 3200 megahertz. And people were concerned about this. What does this mean? Does this mean this is bad? Is this good? But basically, if you do the math like we have in the past regarding the CUDA cores and all the information that we have available on the leaked specs of the Switch 2, we will know that this will basically be around 1.5 to 1.7 teraflops in portable mode, and then just over 3 teraflops in docked mode. And if you recall, all the way back in 2023, that's pretty much what I've been saying on this channel and live streams, that what Nintendo can get away with as far as how low they could go and still make it really, really good to get all the ports would be around 1.5 teraflops in portable mode, and then 3 teraflops in docked mode. Would be like a 1.5 teraflops in portable mode and like 3 teraflops docked with the newest like technology stuff, or some of the newer stuff. And but like, you know, you get to the point where you're doing yourself a disservice if you're making it so low that you still can't run new games. Like if you're going to release a next gen console and you still can't run new games and you just released your new console, that's a fail. Here's a brand new Switch and it can't run the new games. Buy it. No. Like the indication that this from it running this demo here, like from this information, you know, all indications seem to be that, you know, this is going to be a console that can run new games, right? And that would be just good enough for Nintendo to get ports and have them run really well and have similar to Xbox Series S performance, especially when you factor in things like DLSS. So yeah, on paper, these specs are not going to wow anybody. They look like lower numbers. But when you factor in that this is Ampere-based NVIDIA GPU architecture on the Switch 2, and it's going to be running the latest versions of DLSS 4 minus the multi-frame gen, but Ampere is compatible, like we talked about in our last video, with DLSS 4. But of course, it will take more processing power to run DLSS in full upscaling capability to 4K, for example. So I don't expect many games to be output at 4K on Switch 2. Even when using DLSS, what I do expect is 540p to 1440p, 720p to 1440p, that kind of stuff in docked mode. And in handheld mode, I expect 540p to be like the standard upscale to 1080p, and I do think it's going to look pretty darn good. And at the same time, have plenty of horsepower to get all the ports that Xbox Series S gets. So I think Switch 2 is looking fantastic, guys. It looks great as far as how the actual physical makeup of the console is. I think it looks really, really good. Now we just want to see the games, and they are coming on April 2nd, 2025. Make sure you mark your calendars. Be there with me as we take a look at the Nintendo Switch 2 finally at that point. It's going to be just a little bit longer, a couple more months, but we're almost there. Hang in there, and we will see finally what this system can do, and I am excited. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you very soon in the next one. Have a great day.